Welcome to Kevin and Brian's Horror Drive-In Theater Podcast, where each week we cover the latest horror news, shorts, and 2 creature feature reviews. This week after the news, we'll cover the drive-in classic, Don't Torture a Duckling. Yes, you heard that right. The title is Don't Torture a Duckling.
Quack.
Followed by our discussion of the short film Don't Stare and the modern horror feature film The Possession of Hannah Grace. The concession stand will be having buy one, get one free pizza slices at intermission. So turn up the volume, sit back, relax, here we go.
And we have something new coming up next week.
It's our Universal movies.
Yes, we have many of the original classic Universal monster movies that we want to fit into the show.
And I didn't realize they had made that many.
There's a lot of them I haven't seen. There's a couple of them I haven't even heard of.
There's all the classic monsters that you have
Dracula
heard of,
and
the ones
Frankenstein,
that are the household
sure.
names. But then there's the Climax.
The Brute Man.
The Dark House.
I think it was Scary House. Something like that.
Yeah, some I'd never even heard of, let alone not seen.
But we're going to go through somewhere around 40 Universal monsters. So rather than replace the drive-in classic or the modern-day feature, we're going to add a third feature to the podcast.
And we'll just cover them lightly, see if they've held up, how they compare to modern movies, if the special effects still work.
We're not going to go through them blow by blow like our drive-in classic, but we will cover all of them and hopefully maybe get into a little more of the history of these than the others.
Mm-hmm. Should be fun.
Most of these movies are like 60 to 80 years old. There ought to be some history there.
20s, 30s. 20s? No.
I think the first one is 1925.
Yeah.
Is the first one. And then they go up well into the 50s.
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I think so, yeah. Or Phantom of the Opera. One of those two.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting next week, we will have our History Horror Classic, our Drive-In Movie Classic Special, and our Modern Day Horror Movie.
What a deal.
3 for the price of 1. Subscribe to our podcast, and you'll be there next week, too. And let's get on with the news. First up, we have a heads up that the Texas Frightmare Weekend is coming up May 3rd through 5th in Dallas, Texas. This 14th annual event will feature all the vendors, screenings, previews, panels, and cosplay fun that all major conventions have, as well as featuring guests Sam Raimi, Robert Englund, Meatloaf, Tim Curry, Bruce Campbell, and many others.
Elvira was going to be there too.
And Elvira, okay.
Can't remember the actress's name.
They have a great website with full details and pricing, and sounds like it's worth checking out.
It's going to be a big one.
Now, I know Tim Curry had a stroke a couple years ago. I thought Meatloaf wasn't particularly healthy either.
He's struggling with health issues. He's had diabetes and some other issues going on, but he's carrying on, still working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, stop in and see those guys if it sounds like something fun, which it does. Next up, speaking of Bruce Campbell, if you ever dreamed of being in the world of the Evil Dead, now you can get a chance. There's an officially licensed escape room based on the Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, that will be opening in July in Seattle. Hourglass Escapes will be adding the 3rd escape room to their top-rate facility that already features the themed rooms Rise of the Mad Pharaoh and Tales of the Ghostly Galleon, put together by professionals from the theme park and movie industries. Their fully immersive escapes are loaded with special effects and actors who guide the process, and the new Evil Dead attraction should be top-notch.
Makes me want to go to Seattle after I checked out the website.
So what is an escape room?
Basically, you get locked into not necessarily just a room, but a series of rooms. You have to solve a mystery, puzzles, work together as a group, figure out what's going on. There'll be keys and locks, and you have to figure out in time to get out.
So it's like being in a movie.
Basically, yes.
Sounds scary.
Some of them sound really good. Some are just, some are literally a room, I think. Some are really basic, but some are super involved, I guess.
It takes one room if you're doing Saw.
That's true.
How badly do you want that key? Jessica Chastain from It 2 recently appeared on Jimmy Kimmel's talk show and made the claim that the upcoming sequel has the bloodiest scene ever in a horror movie. And of course, it also involves eyeballs.
But really, the bloodiest? After
That seems like a stretch.
in The Shining, there was a literal river of blood coming out of the elevator. And, the lawnmower scene and
Dead Alive.
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Literally gallons of blood flying everywhere. I don't know. Bloodiest ever? We'll have to see.
We'll have to see, yeah.
And another note on that, it too has official release date of September 6th of this year.
Okay.
So not too long to wait.
Nope. Number 4, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs will be coming to the Shudder Network as a new limited series March 29th, with a new episode every Friday. This is a return of the host with a double feature of horror movies presented, along with sometimes crude humor, inside stories, and some guest hosts that will join him for the episodes. There's a teaser trailer on YouTube, which we'll link to, and his first season is still available on Shudder if you'd like to check that out.
These sound like a lot of fun.
I didn't know he was still working. I thought he'd retired.
Just like drive-ins, they never truly go away.
Well, remembering his show was one of the influences we came up with this show, in my mind.
Mhm.
Something along those lines.
He's still working.
I didn't know he was still doing
He's
it.
still doing it.
Well, okay then. Huh.
They keep offering him money, and he says, okay, I'll do it some more.
And lastly, in more Shudder news, Critters are coming. March 21st. In Critters, a new binge. The Toothy Furballs will be returning in an 8-episode revival. It's critters from space on a secret mission who encounter Christopher, a lovelorn high schooler, his best friend Charlie, his crush Dana, and his mom Veronica, whose past will come back to bite them in this munch and crunch of dark comedy mayhem. We'll have a trailer in the show notes, and there's no such thing as too much critters, unless you're the one they're after.
That's right.
You
I don't
know,
think there's too much critters.
yeah.
There's been a lot
I
of
might
critters.
disagree with you on that one. I think they ran that one in the ground and broke it off with a TV show.
They'll get you in the end.
No, that was the Ghoulies.
Oh, really?
Or
I'm
Goonies?
mixing up
no,
my...
not Goonies. Goonies were little kids. Ghoulies were the monsters that'll get you at the end.
Oh, I'm mixing up my little creatures.
I always remembered they'll get you in the end because they showed the guy
come out
coming up from the toilet.
Right.
Yeah.
The critters didn't do that. They were the tunneling creatures.
Yeah, out in the desert.
Well, the trailer
Oh,
actually
critters!
shows critters.
Jeez, I'm confusing critters with Tremors.
Oh, so am I now. Oh,
No,
man,
I'm not.
there's-
I liked
oh, man,
critters.
there's too
Critters
many-
were good.
There's too many.
Tremors
little
is the one I'm
creatures.
sick of.
Tremors are the tunneling ones.
Yeah, the
Oh,
sandworm
there's-
kind of thing.
There's too many.
Critters
different-
were like the Ghoulies. Yes, very
yes,
similar.
Yes. Well, the trailer
Wow.
shows them in a spaceship. So
Okay.
this definitely has a sci-fi crossover to it, or a sci-fi vibe.
I wonder how many people are going to be confused between Tremors and Critters. They're really
And
nothing at all
Ghoulies.
alike.
No, we're
Well,
mixing
Ghoulies,
them
they
up.
were close to Ghoulies.
Yeah.
They came out of, I think, the same year.
Anyway, this is Critters. They're coming back.
Okay, enough news. Let's talk about something we know what we're talking about with. Our classic drive-in special. This one's a little bit different. It goes back to 1972. Italy. Lucio Fulci.
It was a movie I'd never even heard of. And
Don't
it's called-
torture a duckling.
Yes, don't.
The original title was Don't Torture Donald Duck, but for Disney reasons, they had to change the title. So, is a movie about torturing ducks?
Well, a duck does get tortured in it and
Sort of.
beheaded. A Donald duck. It's okay. It's not. They didn't torture a real duck. They are only torture and kill people in the movie, not ducks. It's okay.
Well, the opening scene shows a strange woman digging up a small skeleton next to the highway. And this is quite a road, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
It must be a real place in Italy.
It's a elevated highway built over a mountainous terrain.
It's got nothing to do with the story at all, but it's really an
just-
impressive
Yeah,
scene.
really some impressive engineering. And then it leads up to this old village that looks like it's been there for hundreds of years. stone buildings, and
A typical
it was
small Italian village from the 70s, you know,
that's been there since
forever.
1572.
So a group of boys are hanging out under the bridge smoking. And here's where it gets weird already. This pair of fat tourist women drive up and meet some Italian men in a shack for sex. Why? We're not quite sure, but they do.
Well, I think they were prostitutes coming to town.
They look like foreigners on vacation.
They did.
You
but
don't think so?
No, I think they were ladies of ill repute.
Okay. Anyway, Giuseppe is the village idiot, literally, and he's wandering around peeping in the door, looking at the sexy women. He's mocked and taunted by the local children, whom he chases across the countryside, vowing to kill them all.
There's 3 boys involved here.
Next, we cut to a scene where someone is putting voodoo pins into a wax replica of one of the children. We see that this person has many of these dolls, representing several local boys.
Each of those 3 boys.
And then we cut to a completely different scene where a strange naked woman attempts to seduce one of the little boys, Michael.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Just completely. She was rich and bored and there, and yeah, just because she was rich and bored and
I'm thinking
here,
this would not
boy,
fly in a modern day movie.
Oh boy, no. Yeah.
Because these are like 10-year-old, 11-year-old kids.
Yeah, not teen. Not
First
quite
they were
teens yet.
smoking, now they're staring in and talking to naked women. So
And she was completely naked.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She had her legs discreetly crossed, but
for the movie viewer, not for the kid.
yeah.
Okay, so eventually that scene ends, and another boy, Bruno, is being chased through the woods that night. Someone gets him. We don't see quite what happens, but he's being chased, and he's got.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, the police are searching for him, and the police have actually been searching for several days. Someone has called and is asking for a ransom, which we worked out to be about $20,000 in today's money. They place a bag of money in an old factory and wait.
This is where the kidnapper said to leave the money.
Yeah. And of course it's a trap and they catch the man. It's
Who is
Giuseppe.
it? Yep.
The police want him to confess to murdering the boy, and he tells them where to find the body. But Giuseppe says he didn't kill the boy. He simply found the body and buried him.
And took advantage of the situation to call in a ransom and pretend that he was a kidnapper.
And the
get some
strange
money.
thing about this movie is the police believe him.
They're smart cops.
These are
Very smart cops.
These are Italian cops in a tiny, antiquated Italian village, and these are really smart cops. They
are
don't do all the
not
stupid stuff
ste-
you're used to.
Not stereotypically dumb like they so often are in movies like this.
So they think he found the body and called for a ransom. Still, he did confess to the murder eventually, so he's probably doomed. About the same time, or the day after, an old washerwoman finds another dead body in the fountain.
It's one of the other boys.
Now they're looking for a serial killer.
And Giuseppe didn't kill that one.
Yep, and of course we cut away to the hands of the killer now burying 2 of the dolls. Meanwhile, a reporter goes to interview the local priest. The priest knows all the boys since they all go to church regularly, and it's a little Catholic village. The 2 of them then run into the girl who was trying to seduce Michael earlier. The priest suggests that maybe she's involved, as the murders began right after she came to town.
So it's kind of a whodunit more than a horror. There's voodoo, there's implication of voodoo, there's superstition, there's witchery going on.
Okay, so then later on, Michael, the boy that was seduced earlier, is home alone studying and gets a phone call. He sneaks out to meet the girl at night in the rain.
Or that's how it looks anyway.
Michael wanders through the woods, but he hears someone coming up behind him. He hides and watches as the man passes him by. He sees someone else that he knows, and this person grabs and strangles him to death. The next day, the police question Patricia about what she was doing that night. She was the naked seducer, and she admits that she takes drugs and uses marijuana.
Shocking.
The slut.
Shocking.
Now we see an older woman is the one burying the voodoo dolls. She's also the one we saw in the first scene digging up the skeleton. Later, at the boy's funeral, his mother screams, "I know the killer is here with us! He's here!" Could it be someone that we know? Surprisingly enough, the police have security footage of the witch leaving the funeral.
And so
Again, the cops are completely competent.
Yeah, watching who's coming and going from the funeral.
Actually, thought it was kind of a stretch that this village would have security cameras. But they did.
They did. A security camera. Big old security camera.
And the police explained to the reporter that she is a witch, and so is her husband. Magic is in high demand in this superstitious village. They go to question Francesco, the witch's husband. He's busy making dolls that look very familiar. He's the man we saw walking through the woods behind Michael. Francesco denies everything and claims he didn't see anything that night. And of course, on their way out, they see Patricia going inside to see Francesco. The reporter, Martelli, asks about yet another strange woman who turns out to be the mother of the local priest. She is the caregiver for Malvina, a learning disabled child and the priest's sister. So eventually they track down Machara the witch and find her dead child from 15 years ago. They also find the 3 buried voodoo dolls. She, too, confesses to the murders.
I did it. I killed them. I killed them all.
She caught them disturbing her child's grave, and no, wait, she didn't strangle them. She only put a curse on them with the dolls.
She voodooed them.
She didn't physically do anything to them.
And so the cops are a little disappointed, thinking, oh, she didn't really do it.
Again, the cops realize that she's not a real murderer.
Or is she?
They release her. However, the fathers of the murdered boys track her down and beat her severely, with some minor gore. It's not a very gory movie.
No, not really.
It's this scene, and the very, very end has a little bit, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she climbs a mountain all beat up. Does she die at the top next to the busy road? I got the impression she died there.
That's the impression I got.
Yeah. And we should probably stop there. They narrow it down further, and it's
a whodunit. You're wondering how much magic is going on.
There's
and
the
how much
voodoo
real
and the
stuff is going on.
witchcraft, and
there's
there's a
number
serial
of
killer.
suspects.
Yeah, there's a number of people. And it could be any of them. They're all kind of creepy. They're all kind of weird.
Originally, it was in Italian. We watched a dubbed version of it.
The dub was okay. I've seen worse. I've seen better.
Mm-hmm.
I would have
okay.
preferred to have seen it in subtitles, so I think.
I didn't really start enjoying the movie till the last half hour or so. I was getting kind of bored. I was having a hard time relating. I think it was probably an issue of time because it was from 1972 and foreign, and it was just too out of date and foreign for me. But then it started picking up and getting more intriguing, I thought, at the end.
I liked it all the way through. I thought it was just mysterious and strange enough setting, and people were all kind of weird.
Cute little cars.
The little Italian
Cute
sports
little
cars always.
1972 cars. Yeah.
The little dune buggy and everything, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some interesting things that I noticed was, well, for example, I said the antiquated village had video cameras, which seemed like kind of out of place. The little girl is deaf and dumb. And of course, somebody says, she's subnormal.
She's subnormal.
Subnormal. There's a politically correct term.
And
Now, maybe that's a
another
dubbing issue. I don't know.
politically incorrect. What did they say? She's not a moron.
She's not a moron. She's retarded.
She's not a moron. She's just retarded.
Yeah.
But how is that for politically incorrect? But those used to be actual medical terms.
In 1972, that was not an unusual thing to
moron
say.
and retarded
Yeah.
were actually defined degrees of mental incapability. You don't say that now, but well, for the time, yeah.
So what do you think? Did the killer have a logical reason for doing it?
Not a logical reason, but they did have a reason.
I thought it was one of the most logical reasons for a serial killer ever in a movie.
I don't know about logic.
And I'm like, why doesn't this happen more often?
Oh, it'd be alarming if it did. they do
But
have
I
a
think
reason.
I think the
Yeah.
murderer has a perfectly good motivation for doing it.
And they don't think they're a bad person for doing it.
Nope.
They
nope.
have a sound reason in their mind that this is why.
This murderer is absolutely not crazy. Just maybe a little misguided.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I can even say this next part without giving something away.
Now, what's the genre of movie?
Giallo.
Giallo. This type
It's
of whodunit
it's sort of
kind
a mystery, supernatural thriller, Italian
and there's
combination.
a whole bunch of movies out there of this
Oh,
genre
yeah, it's a whole
from that
sequ-
era.
it's a whole genre,
And
yeah.
this director did a lot of this style of movie.
He also did a lot of just straight up horror movies like Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
You look that one up, it's ZOMBI, and it's one of the I don't remember now if it's black and white or not, but it's one of the better, more realistic zombie movies from like that time period.
I haven't seen that one, but I
You-
know
you will.
he did a lot of stuff.
This movie was blacklisted in Europe for many years. It wasn't released in the United States until 2000. And it was a 1972 movie, 28 years that you couldn't get this movie in the United States.
And then Anchor did a DVD release of it.
Yeah, so it is available now. It's not something that most people have heard of, so you may have to look that one up on Amazon. Well, we'll have a link to Amazon for you.
And you should check it out.
Yeah, it's not something you're going to find at your local Walmart, I'm pretty sure.
I give it a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. I'm going to say it wasn't as... I've seen it before. I thought it was better than it was.
Okay.
I'll give it a 6 this time, although I thought it was better than that.
6. I give it a 6.
If you have the option, I'd say watch it in Italian with subtitles.
Probably would be better.
The dub is okay, but you get better experience, I think, with the subtitles.
The voices don't always match. The voice actors are a little out of sync, not out of sync as far as timing, but they don't completely match all the time with the characters.
I liked how some of the Italian countryside men sounded like Kentucky hillbillies.
That was weird, yeah.
The children did not sound terribly childlike in some cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, they were walking around smoking and drinking and peeping in on the naked women, so they're no angels.
They were mature, yeah.
Another reason the film was probably banned. You can't show kids smoking.
Plus
you can't even show adults smoking
plus
anymore.
The pedophilia. And although in an
They
Italian
didn't
film
actually
in
have sex
1972,
with a kid, so I don't think it's pedophilia.
well, she was coming on to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think she was more of a tease than really trying to seduce him, though.
I think so too. Yeah. Hey, we watched a short film too.
We did. We watched. Well, we learned not to don't torture a duckling. Now we learned don't stare.
Don't stare at
This
don't stare at creepy little girls that show up at your house.
Yeah, this short film is called Don't Stare. It's 8 minutes and 1 second, and of course we'll have a link on YouTube.
It was pretty good. It was not great. It was pretty good.
It was well put together. I wouldn't say it was well acted, and it really didn't do anything that I wasn't kind of expecting.
Well, and I thought his reactions were kind of overly hysterical.
Yeah, it did not seem realistic. And the guy just seemed like he was overacting it. Okay, so this guy carries a TV inside and plugs it in. He holds up a note. Jerry, I hope you can get some use out of this. Love, Grandma. Of course, the TV doesn't seem to work when he plugs it in.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything at all.
Jerry hears a sound outside and goes to look. It's a creepy child. It was a child, right?
Yeah, a little girl.
She looked a little maybe old for the role.
No, she was a girl.
Okay, well, she knocks on his door, and he opens up the door, and she has black eyes, which we all know means she's a demon or something.
In a very deep voice.
And he's very terrified and grabs a knife. Of course, about that time, the TV comes on, tuned to static. The TV has nothing to do with anything, does it?
I think just she was controlling it, maybe to freak him out.
Maybe the TV summoned her somehow.
No, I think she did that to freak him out.
Okay.
She was toying with him.
Okay, so he sees the girl outside and runs to his car.
Well, she comes to the door,
Yeah.
and then she's at the back door in the patio. She seems to be all over the outside of the house at once. He freaks and bolts, runs to his car, drives away.
And we're going to
Happy
stop
ending.
there.
He gets away, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, not really.
Oh, more happens.
Yeah.
But we're not going to spoil that.
We don't have to because it's really predictable.
Well, a little bit.
I'm going to go thumb sideways
You
on
can
this
probably guess what happens.
one. Yeah. Thumb sideways. A straight 5 out of 10.
I give it like an angle up.
I
liked it more than disliked
My
it.
thumb is failing down towards 4.5.
Okay. I go with a 5.5. Slightly above.
Don't stare. Maybe don't even watch.
Well, we'll add it to the playlist. The link will be in the show notes, and you can watch for yourself.
Going to cost you 8 minutes to find out.
Yeah.
So, our newest movie this week is The Possession of Hannah Grace from 2018. And I'll tell you, I was expecting something like The Exorcist or, what was that other possession movie, similar title? The Exorcism of somebody.
Emily Rose?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was expecting
yes.
either The Exorcism of Emily Rose or The Exorcist, and it wasn't like that at all.
Well, it kind of starts that way.
The opening scene, we start out in Hannah's room, and she's tied to the bed in a very Exorcist-like scene.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2 priests and her father are there. She goes berserk, as these things always do, and the priest is levitated across the room and gets his head impaled on a spike.
And there we have our first gore of the movie.
Body count 1 so far. She makes the other priest strangle himself, but her father intervenes and smothers her with a pillow. Hannah is dead, and the priest is saved. And the titles roll. It's the possession of Hannah Grace. All of that was like 3 minutes in.
So we're not spoiling a lot. That's
No,
the very
that's
beginning.
yeah. She dies before the credits.
Yeah,
Sorta.
yeah. And then 3 months later,
3 months later,
Megan is going to a job interview at Boston Metro.
a new character we haven't seen.
Right, right. She's a former cop who's starting over, basically. And I thought they did a really nice job gradually filling in on what happened, how she got so messed up. She's clearly, she lost her career. There's hints of addiction, but then, gradually finding out why she's no longer a cop, how she got
She used to be a cop.
Hooked
Now
on-
she's the
she
late
hooked
night
on-
morgue intake technician.
hooked on medications and drugs to deal with something terrible that happened on the job. And I thought they did a really nice job building on that.
Yeah.
You gradually find out what the story is, the backstory.
So then the coroner explains all the intake procedures for a new corpse, which I thought was surprisingly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you do when there's a dead body comes in.
Huge morgue.
Oh yeah,
Just
it's
a
big.
great big cement cathedral of a building.
And when he tells her, "You've got the job," that's when the actual credits roll, about 10 minutes in. So yeah, we're just getting into the introductions here. First couple of scenes, she's on the job and she gets her first intake. We see how that works. All goes well.
And this is the late night shift.
Late night shift.
Well, midnight on.
The one guy calls it the graveyard shift at the morgue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's alone.
Exactly what it is.
Alone in this huge, empty concrete building with automatic lights that you know how it is when you go in like the restroom and the lights go off on you because you've been sitting there too long.
These lights do that.
Repeatedly.
Yeah, she's sitting in the office working, doing paperwork, and the lights will go off because she hasn't moved around enough.
That does happen to everybody in the restroom, right?
It's happened to me. Mhm.
Okay, so anyway, all goes well with the first intake, but not long after she has a vision. Turns out she has some PTSD from her time as a cop, which we've already talked about. We're not going to go into why, but yeah, she does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something bad happened on the job.
The buzzer buzzes, and it's her second intake. This intake is a corpse called Hannah Grace, according to her ID. And weird things start to happen almost immediately. Because we were told that she died 3 months ago.
And where's she been all this 3 months, you wonder?
Yeah.
Yeah. How to talk about this without spoilers?
I think at that point, weird stuff starts to happen, and we
Weird-
have to stop
weird
talking.
Stuff happens, yeah. The body is badly mutilated.
Clearly, Hannah is not as dead as she appears.
Right.
But where's she been and why and what happens, we're going to leave that one to you.
But it's more of a monster movie than an exorcism movie.
Yeah, she's possessed, but it could easily be, any other kind of reason for animated dead.
Mm-hmm.
Zombie, well, more than a zombie, but yeah.
Well, I was really impressed with Shay Michael in this role. The lead, Meg. I thought
Yeah, she was very good.
She really carried it. It could have been a fail, and I think that she made it a win.
I thought all the characters did exactly what a real person would have done.
Mm-hmm.
It was well acted, well written as far as what people... Nobody does anything particularly stupid.
And
People
she's
are
a very-
always doing
yes.
stupid stuff and getting killed, and these people just acted normally.
But
They got killed anyway,
still,
but still.
bad things happened. Yeah, yeah. And Meg's a very strong character. She's not, she doesn't scream and run the other direction stupidly like they do so often in horror movies.
Her
You
her
know?
first response is to fight back.
Yes, yeah.
Well, she's ex-cop. I think that's probably a normal thing.
So I think the writing was really good in that regard. That
The setting and
the
location were
characters
really
were not
what made
doing
this.
stupid things. Yeah.
Yeah, the setting and location were really perfect.
Yes, it was.
Big creepy morgue with the automatic lights and automatic doors. And according to the trivia, it's exactly the same underground installation that they used in Cabin in the Woods,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't remember it specifically from that too much, but
Massive.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
but anyway, this building is really great.
Perfect.
I thought the whole PTSD cop thing was just kind of thrown in there. I didn't think that needed to be there. But you seem to have liked that part more than I did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It gives her more of a character instead of just generic, protagonist.
And why she's wanting to have this job alone at night and get away from people.
Okay. Would you take the job?
I would.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah, I would.
It would be a creepy job, but look at all the time you'd have to sit and read.
Mm-hmm.
She had 2 corpses come in that whole night.
It was a pretty slow job. And when the intake doorbell rang, boy, if you had happened to doze off for that, geez.
A really loud electric buzzer.
Yeah, that somebody's at the door.
Either that or the building just exploded. I
Yeah.
mean, that's some alarm.
Mm-hmm. All in all, I give it a big thumbs up.
I give it a thumbs up.
I give it an 8.
I go with a 7, but it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
Yep, a win.
Probably not what you're expecting from a possession movie.
Yeah.
And now the sun is starting to come up. We got to get hiding. The drive-in is closing down for the weekend. Return your speakers and leave in an orderly fashion. Stop in during the week at horrorbulletin.com for news and horror updates, to comment on this podcast, or to contact us. Check out our Twitter feed at @horrorbulletin. I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And please pick up your litter and return your speakers before you leave the drive-in. Drive back in next weekend.
See ya.
See ya.